What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a new YouTube video, and today is a bit of a different format. I decided to make some kind of reaction video out of it because usually I always put my voiceover over my videos, and I just thought maybe it's even more authentic and maybe it gives you more value if I just walk through my training together with you and just share my thoughts. Obviously I know what I thought during training, at least roughly, and then also I can give or add my 2 cents to what you're seeing on the screen, and it's probably, or it will be better or easier to understand. So we started off with day 3, week 7. We're now right at the half point of the prep. So this was week 7. This was the Friday. This is usually where I have my primary bench day. My primary bench day in this block consisted of a top single, a heavy back of 4, and some easier back of 4s. Today's top single was at 175, which is 386 pounds, which is very, very close. There's only 15 kilos missing to my desired 190 kilos bench, and during this bench I felt great, even though it was a Friday afternoon right after work, having traveled a lot during the week, having a high stress level. I felt okay, and I still got through the training pretty well, and especially my bench felt good. Potentially a correlation to less people in the gym, less stress. No, but on a real note, also my back of 4s was a huge PR. I never pressed 164 4s. I never pressed 164 triple either. I never pressed 164 double either. So decently happy with that. 2 for 2 on PRs for this day, or the 175 single was a PR match. And before we jump into the next day, I'm just gonna move back and just want to elaborate on 1 or 2 things on the bench, because people always ask me, or some people ask me, why I have my wrists tucked in like that. So as you can see in the video here, I also have my wrists relatively far back, and usually it is taught to have the weight here and then have your wrists rather straight. For me, I have very long arms, meaning if I press with my wrists like this, say I'm arching, and I press with my wrists like this, I'll have to go down roughly until here, yeah, to hit my chest. What if I tuck my wrists now? Boom. I only have to go until here. This is a solid 2 to 3 centimeters, depending on how far you can tuck your wrist and where you can actually have the weight lying in your hand. But it can help you hit a better spot on your chest and also reduce the distance traveled. So just a quick tip, I guess. On a side note, attention though, your wrists might not like this, and there's actually a reason why people usually tell you to grip like this and have your wrists and elbows aligned. But here I'm just trying to elaborate on why it would help me and which athletes it would actually help to do something like this. So yeah, pressing was good. Let's hop over into the 4th day. I didn't record all the other accessories on that day. Didn't really feel like it. Felt like just ending a rough week, honestly, a rough work week with a fast training, getting home, recovering, because I knew on this day today we wanted to go to a gym that is roughly 2.5 to 3 hours of train drive away. So pretty exhausting traveling before or just for a training, but it was a Saturday, so it was manageable, I guess. And as you could see, Rogue Ohio power bar, Eleiko steel plates. I was in the paradise. I was so amazed by the gym. I was almost like, I was in complete awe. I was looking around. I couldn't get my eyes off of the equipment. Yeah, absolutely loved it. They even had chalk in the gym, so I didn't have to use my own chalk. As you can see, I was going to the back there and chalking my hands up. They had tons of these like rogue half racks, which you could also obviously use for squatting and stuff. You could put a bench in there if you wanted, and bench press. That was really awesome. I have to say, big props to the gym. It was really amazing to finally train in something that you would consider a top level fitness center. And I know that like most people or some people in the US probably might not be able to relate, because I feel like any powerlifter or every gym I see is almost having better equipment than we have here. And mainly I'm just tired of these bumper plates. But now to the training, the 270, they looked relatively decent. Can't complain of them. So I thought, okay, today we have a heavy single at 7. I should be able to hit whatever weight I will put on at the same speed and the same consistency as the 270 in the warm-up. So we loaded up 287.5. If this would come out to be just like a RP7, so say roughly you would have another 3 reps in the tank, would put me in a very, very good spot to hit this weight, or yeah, some similar weight as an opener for competition. And I don't know why I wrote down 285 on the screen, but it is 287.5, because you can see it by the tiny silver 1.25 kilo plates here. But anyways, doesn't matter. What matters is how the lift will be executed, so I'll just stop it right here and we'll just go through step by step. So first off, I usually have this ritual of getting myself tight into the bar, and then I'm pulling slack. As you saw, usually during slack pull, my hips rise, and as I explained in the last video, slack pull is when you assert tension into the bar and the bar starts rising. As you can see here on the bend, the plates are almost lifting off the ground before I'm actually pulling. Now I actually initiated the pull and the bar comes off the floor. But what is not good, and I immediately see during this deadlift, is that my hip, if you look at my hip, it's continuing to shoot up. And this leaves me in this position. I think you don't need to be a powerlifter, a powerlifting expert, an expert in biodynamics, biomechanics, or anything like this to tell you that this position highly unfavorable. This position means I need to now basically pull 287.5 completely and only from my back, because I have to tilt and rotate around this axis, like the hip axis, with very minimal help from the legs. This creates a lot of forward drive, so all the weight is pulling me into this direction, basically in the direction I'm staring to. And this makes it hard, and I get into turbulences to now lock the weight out. As you can see, I'm round about the knees, and I have so much more deadlift to go. Locking it out here, half-assing it, I guess. It's a reasonably stable position, and I would say, not an RP7. Let's just say it's safe to say it was not an RP7. Maybe we can see it again in full speed so you get what I was elaborating on, because it might not have been very understandable. So, tightening up, hips rising, turbulences, lockout problems, dropping the weight. Shaking my head here, and before we go on to what is happening, what will happen now, I just wanted to say that I was unhappy about the single. It should have moved faster. I expected it to move faster, and when expectation and reality diverge, your mind often starts wandering. And if you're not mentally 100% there on a day, you will or you will start crumbling in some sort of ways, especially mentally. And it's very important in sports to always be mentally completely focused. And what happens next is just a display of mental weakness I had on that day. So I tried saying or telling myself the single was not fast enough. Let's try it again and move it faster. Watch what happens next. So I set up, tighten myself, and just gonna try and pull this thing again and faster. Drop it immediately. Way too much forward tilt, and as you saw, I was completely out of rhythm. Now at this point, I couldn't even do my rituals or normal setups, my normal slack pull by a normal hip wedge, so the moment your hip shoots into the bar. Why? Because I was mentally not there anymore. And this is just a testimony to the fact, or like, if you can't even follow your own rituals that you build up and practice so often over the weeks anymore, in a single moment, that means you're not there anymore. And I, of course, in my head told myself, oh yeah, that is just about the chalk. And so I went at it again. I tried pulling 287.5 3 times in this training, and it should have been just one single. If you hit a one single and it's bad, it's okay, you can just laugh it off. If you try and hit it 2 times more and you both times fail it, you're not only gonna mentally fatigue yourself, but also physically. Because I basically had to pull a weight that is, up until now, the heaviest weight I've moved in this whole prep. The heaviest weight I've moved raw ever. I've never ever touched this weight raw, like without any equipment, right? Outside my belt, obviously. And now I'm trying to do 3 of them? What? I was just like, yeah, I was already beaten at this point. Now we're just gonna see a further testimony, or like another mental defeat where the 255 was not coming fast enough off the floor for my sec. And honestly, they didn't even look that bad, but I was so done that I was like, nope, they were not good enough. We're just calling it here. And I swapped to conventional. You know, it's the thing is, I'm not doing powerlifting since yesterday. I'm even like trying. I'm even coaching people. You know, like if someone that I would coach would do stuff like this, I would be like, bro, what are you doing? Are you retarded? But you get so caught up in the moment that you completely lose sight of the entirety of your surroundings and the entirety of your situation even. And yeah, left me speechless. I loaded up to 20 here. This was supposed to be my back off, and I hit it conventional. Had to even switch grips, and there's a reason why I don't pulse conventional. As you can see here, conventional is unfavorable in a sense that I will pause it here so we can just look at it together. I guess I can get into somewhat of a okay starting position, but as you can see here, my knees are already way forward, but my torso is still over the bar. This is because I have a rather long torso, and it's kind of unfavorable if you have such a long torso to pull conventional, at least also with a rather close stance. Then I'm starting to pull, and as you can see, lower back tension is not there. My hips rise completely. I get into an even more unfavorable position than in sumo, and I have to lock out all the weight that is pulling me way forward completely with my back. As you can see, this is all back. This is all back working, maybe a little bit of hamstring, sure, but all back. Makes no sense. In powerlifting, it's all about moving weight fast, and it doesn't make sense to do something that's unfavorable. So I went back to sumo deadlifts, did another set of 4 here on sumo. As you can see here, a little bit of a better setup. On lighter weight, I managed to keep my hips a little bit lower. And the pulls also look good. I mean, they're not hard at all, right? So I pulled sumo throughout all the preps. It should be fine. I don't know what was up with me on that day. But this was unfortunately not even the most annoying thing. The most annoying thing starts now. So during the training after deadlifts, I already felt some amount of discomfort in my leg. My leg was already hurting. And I still decided to do my squats. So I have my secondary squat day after my deadlifts, in this block at least. And I'm warming up now for 2 ascending sets on squats for triples. After this warm-up set, I could already barely walk because of some sharp pain in my knee. Haven't had that in a long time, haven't had that all prep long. And suddenly it starts and I decide to push through. On a day where I'm already mentally not completely there, I decided to push through on the squats with basically one leg, the right leg being in complete pain. As you can see, my squat differs a bit because my spot patterns are completely off and I don't manage to get into a proper groove. Yeah, and then I just pushed through here regardless, and it was honestly not a smart idea. Looking back at it, I have to say, first, the deadlifts decisions. I've never done this before. I will hope to never do this again. I really focus on not ever doing this again in any prep that it will come forward. But second, this squatting session, pushing through to sharp pain, is completely different than maybe pushing through if you have some like biceps tendonitis. Or in this session, my left knee was annoying me a bit because I had some patella tendonitis, which is just basically some inflammation of the patella or around the patella and underneath it. This is okay as long as you warm up properly, as long as you can keep it warm, keep it relatively loose, you can manage. But if you have sharp pain and you have a history of injuries in that knee, I mean, I come from football, my knees are basically destroyed, and this is now, this recording is now a couple days after it, and I was already at the doctor. He did some ultrasounds, he checked my knee out a bit. Of course, we didn't get the MRI done yet, so I have to wait for the MRI to confirm. But looking at it from the first pictures, he was already able to say, yo, your right leg is completely effed up, how did you do it? And football, long story short, football, but nonetheless, you cannot change the injury. But if you know you have an injury, and usually I'm very smart about loading my weights, knowing when to increase and when not to increase my weights, and instead I don't know what drove me on that day, but going for this kind of weights after such a long travel, after all factors combined, yeah, led to a not so nice injury on my leg. I think I will be able to squat half decently going forward, but it will not be to the fullest of my abilities. And this is something or a handicap that I put on myself, and the message I just wanted across or getting across throughout this video, and this is also some part of the reason why I did this reaction kind of type of video, is to be smart about your training. And sometimes if you it's not it's not totally bullshit to also sometimes listen to your body. There's some space for pushing through, and there's also some space where you just have to be the smarter person and say, hey, I know I have my expectations, but at this moment in time I'm not able to fulfill them. Let me pull back to come back stronger the next week, instead of let me push through. Sorry, the audio stopped and the video, so I have to re-record the session. But basically what I wanted to say was, instead of having to push through one session and then having to pull back for all the other session throughout the remaining prep, as well as having to potentially completely end the prep, just makes no sense. And in this regard, I was really not having the best day, and I did a poor job, I believe, not only as an athlete, but more so from a mental strength perspective. And this is just something I wanted to share, so that's why, as I said before, today was a little bit of a different format. But regardless, I really appreciate you guys watching. And I wish you all the love, all the power. Have a good one.